James Fleming here with Sentinel Accounting LLC. So this video is really about doing business in Kentucky. There's not a lot of great resources out there if you're new to doing business in Kentucky, or maybe you've got some tax questions, you're not sure where to make your payments. It's a little confusing. There's not a lot of resources on YouTube, or even if you do a Google search. So hopefully someone finds this helpful. Let's start on the Kentucky Secretary of State website. So this is where you can search for your LLC, or if you're thinking about starting a business, you can find out if that name is available. You can search by the business name, city name, zip codes, and this is just a great website so you can figure out the status of an existing LLC and research names that haven't been taken. Now, if you need to start an LLC or if you need a registered agent, this website here, Kentucky Registered Agent, is a great Kentucky-based company. I think they're in Richmond, Kentucky. I'm not affiliated with them. All these links will be in the description below. I have a blog post that has all the links because there's going to be several that I'm going to go over here. But this is where you can get your corporation, LLC started, articles of incorporation, county filings, filing services. I use these guys and it's been a great, easy resource. They've got an online portal, super smooth, easy to use, and the pricing is just right. So I am on the kyola.org website. This site's really more for tax preparers, but it does provide a nice set of links here for all the counties in Kentucky. So I am in Campbell, Kentucky, and if we go down here, this will take us to the occupational tax. And if we scroll down here, we can see the notices. We have access to the quarterly returns, to the annual returns. So when you do have a business, you have to make sure you're registered also in the county. They will give you a tax ID number. And again, your payroll provider should be able to make those filings and payments on your behalf. But if you ever do need to figure out if something goes wrong or you need to make the payment, it's good to have access to this and to bookmark this and to know how to use it. You also have these annual returns. So if you have a tax preparer, they should be filing these. But if not, here's where you can find that information for Campbell County. Now, if you're doing business in multiple counties, so maybe you're in Lexington, this is the Fayette County site, and you may have to, so this site's not going to take us to the occupational tax. You may have to search for that here. You can also use Google for that, but this is just a great resource here to get you started. So if you found this helpful, leave a comment. I will have all these linked on my blog post, all these websites that I just reviewed. All right, we are on the Office of Unemployment Insurance. So again, if you do have payroll, you probably aren't making the payments or the filings, so you don't really need to worry about this. You do need to make sure you have an unemployment insurance tax number so that you can give that to the payroll provider, and then they'll be making the payments and making the filings. But if you ever do have issues, it's a good idea to have access to this and know how to use it so you can audit it or make those payments and filings yourself. But it's pretty self-explanatory. We can submit a quarterly report. You can make a payment and walk through the prompts there. Pretty easy to use, and this is for Kentucky unemployment insurance. Now, the next thing I'll look at is the local and county taxes. Kentucky is a little unique in that there are local taxes, county taxes potentially, and each county has its own website, and that introduces a whole new dimension to this. It does make this a little more trickier because you have a tax account numbers, tax returns that have to be tracked that are completely separate from the state return and the federal return. So let's look at that next. So this is the taxpayer information screen here. We already filled out the demographics. This is where you enter your tax account number, and this is your LLET number. If you're not sure what that number is, you'll probably be able to find it on the Kentucky Business One Stop website. So we enter that here. You would want to scroll down to here to LLET payment for return. That is if the tax return has been completed. You also have this limited liability entity tax. I'm not sure what the difference is between the two. You also have a few other options where you can make an estimated payment on your LLET tax, corporate LLT, extension. But what you would do here is select this. You'll need your federal EIN number, and then you can just fill this out and make the payment. Always best to pick the electronic check so you don't have a credit or debit card processing fee. But let's take a look at the Kentucky Unemployment Insurance website next. So we are on the Kentucky Department of Revenue website. Now, if we go up here to business, we can see employer payroll withholding. Here is where you can log in. You can set up a withholding number, which you'll need to do if you have payroll. If you do have a payroll provider, you shouldn't need to come in here very often because the payroll provider is going to be making the payments and making the filings. But it's always a good idea to have this set up so that you can confirm that those filings have been made. And if you just review the information here, it's very easy to do. You can see there's links here to pay. You've got the K5 login right here. If we go back to the website, back to the homepage here, we can see we have a make a payment or file a return. This is all of the payments that you can make here on the website. Now, if you have an LLC, you are going to be responsible for this limited liability entity tax or LLET. So when you get your tax return, your tax accountant will have a little voucher that tells you how much you owe. And this is where you can come in and make that electronic payment. You do have to fill out the basic information here. And I'll do that real quick and show you the next screen. Now we're going to talk about Kentucky One Stop. If we just do a Google search, we can pull up the first link here. So this is kind of your one-stop shop for managing your LLC. You'll also find your withholding number here, your LLET number or limited liability entity tax, sales tax, use tax numbers. You can also make the sales tax filings on this website. So as you get these numbers registered, you'll be able to find them all here. You can't do everything from this website, but this really just gives you all the information about your entity. In my experience, if you have trouble with getting linked information, you may have an LLC that was created, but it's not showing up here when you create your account. You're going to have to call support, and they'll either walk you through it or they'll be able to do it on their end. But this is just really a broad overview of all of the basic information associated with the LLC. I'm going to go into withholding, Kentucky unemployment insurance, and then the LLET tax or the Kentucky limited liability entity tax. That's really for S corps and LLCs.